Welcome to The Holistic Nurse with your host, Peggy Smith. Peggy will introduce and educate her viewers about the differences between alternative, holistic, and complementary medical therapies. Her goal is to empower the lay medical consumer to learn how to advocate for themselves. So now, please welcome the host of The Holistic Nurse, Peggy Smith.
Hello, welcome to the Holistic Nurse with Peggy Smith. There's a moment in every body, and we all know it sometimes if we're paying attention, that a feeling gets so big that words stop being big enough for the feeling. Might be grief that just won't sit still, or stress that lives in your shoulders, joy that wants to move through your hips instead of stay in your head. And today we're talking about what happens when we stop trying to think our way through those moments and instead dance our way through them. My guest today has spent more than 2 decades studying exactly how to do this. Welcome, please join us. Uh,
Thank you. Thanks, Peggy. Yeah, it's Helene Su here. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Peggy, for
You
having
go
me.
by Helena. That's the
Yep.
way. Okay. So, would you like to tell my audience, a little bit about what you do? I'm fascinated. This is a new experience for me, and I'm a bad dancer anyway. But this would be, if it has
So
a
that's
purpose like
really,
healing instead of making a fool of yourself. I can do that.
so this is what I really want. Actually, you've just hit the nail on the head, Peggy. So many people are afraid of dance. They make jokes about dancing on TikTok. And, a lot of people have to have a drink before they have a dance. And yet, dance is the oldest thing, right? Since time began, man has come together to dance for the crops, dance to celebrate, dance for ceremony. Even at funerals, right? We in the end we have
Absolutely.
to celebrate life, and what better way in a way than it's to dance, because dance is the whole thing that involves all the different parts of us. And the thing is, the beauty of it and what can be a bit scary is because actually you can feel vulnerable, right? You can hide behind a big outfit or costume, and you can hide behind a mask. Actually, in dance movement therapy, there are exercises where you have a mask on, and it's amazing because then you suddenly feel liberated, because then you forget everyone's looking at you. You've got this mask on, and you can just be who you want to be, right? And then and that just proves that actually it's our mind that's stopping us, right? Our mind is sort of saying, for example, oh, I can't dance, oh, I'm going to look silly, oh, people are watching me. And actually, I work through the body and through movement, and the word dance is very broad. I mean, think about it. I mean, art is so broad and subjective, really, right? I mean, Damien Hirst
Absolutely.
and Lady Gaga and her raw meat dress. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to. She wore this controversial dress
Right.
made out of
I
raw
heard about it.
meat,
Yes.
right? That's fashion, that's art. So, and dance is the same in a way, right? It's just giving your body permission to have its own voice, actually. But before it even gets to that point, first of all, when it comes to somatics, which is something that I basically my way in was through dance. I love dance, did it for years and years as a kid, did all the ballet, all of that, thought I'm not good enough, very competitive, lots of rules. And so I gave up doing the classes, but I still liked to dance. And I carried on going to, I was in clubs, then I went to parties, I went to festivals, and I started doing more and more, just more free dance. And I thought, oh my God, there's this whole freedom that ballet didn't have, right? There are no rules. You can move how you want, right? And
Right.
that roomy saying of dance like no one's watching, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that phrase, the poet Rumi, the Sufi poet
Yes.
Rumi.
I'm very familiar
Yes,
with Rumi.
yes,
Yes.
yes, and he said that line, "Dance like no one's watching,"
Yes.
because if
I've heard
you
that many
dance,
times.
you might have heard of, yeah, yeah. So I mean, and that was what, however many centuries ago, right? And it's still true to this day. He was a wise dude, right? Old Rumi. I know he said so many beautiful things. But, actually, I am surprised. I met someone who's more in the arts world, and he hadn't heard of Rumi, and I was quite surprised. So I have no expectations. Not everyone might be familiar with Rumi, but he's very beautiful. And so it's about, I mean, our mind and body are connected, right? There's so much, you've talked about this on this channel, you've had people come
Right.
on about this. You're a holistic nurse. We know that our mind and body are in constant communication with each other, right?
Absolutely. And, my experience after I was, I think I'd noticed one of your posts and I took ballet lessons too as a kid, but I was one of those, square peg kids that don't fit in the round hole. But 70 years later, I still remember those first five steps in ballet. And I think it's because you're in front of the mirror and at 5 years old you don't want to look at yourself in the mirror and you're not even being taught what you're feeling or understanding how it feels. The teacher's like, no, you gotta move a half an inch, and the discipline was so strong. And I was one of those kids that naturally defied discipline every chance I got. But it got through to me because I still know those first five steps. And I laugh about that now.
It's
Uh,
amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Well,
yeah.
have you heard that story of that lady who had dementia, and then she used to be a ballet dancer, and then, I think she was quite old, and then, she was barely communicating, but then they put on Swan Lake, and she had been a prima ballerina dancing the main role of Swan. Did you see that in the news a while ago?
No, I didn't
And
see
and
that
and
though.
they put on this music of Swan Lake, and her face changed and she remembered. She remembered, and I think she started to move and remember some of the steps, and it was so touching, it was so beautiful. So, I mean, it was the memory of the music, but then also the memory was still in her body, right?
Well,
Even when her
science has
mind.
proven that we do have body memories. If you have that combination lock on your front door, a lot of times you don't know the numbers, but your fingers do. You put your hand up, your fingers know what keys to push. And a similar experience that I have had, yoga has developed into yoga therapy specialties now. And I think the principles behind that are very similar to what you're offering, um, because it can be a very emotional experience to experience yoga therapy. And as your body memories, the good and bad ones, are stored in different parts of your body. I've had hypnosis clients have an unexplained pain, and all of a sudden, through hypnosis they realize, oh, I remember how where that started. It wasn't even a physical experience, but uh, the memory was in that part of the body, and now, as an older age, causing the person pain.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how much we store in our bodies, and it starts from the minute literally we pop out of the womb, right? Depending
I
on
think
how we
so,
were
yeah.
brought up as a baby, we might cry and get attention straight away, or we might cry and then be just left alone, and that's gonna affect us, our nervous system, that's gonna affect our body, we're gonna remember that, um, every time we are given attention or love or whatever, or we're not, depending on how we behave or what we say or how we react, the body has a we sense and feel it, right? Even when we haven't sort of fully clocked it in our minds. And then those memories are sitting there. But sometimes, they come out again much, much later on, right? And it takes a lot of, and we don't understand why we react in a certain way or why we hold back or, why we freeze, because the memories are so far back, to when we were really, really young. And then sometimes through some deep work of whichever kind of work that people do,
Right.
their inner work, their inner child work, or whatever therapy, and then it's like, oh my God, and they finally uncover why they behave in a certain way now from something that was lodged in their cells in the memory from it can be so long ago, right?
Right. And I know I've many therapists, when they identify those kind of behaviors, they point out, well, it protected you, or it was effective while you were a child. but now in this stage of your life, it's actually holding you back, or, causing you pain, and you don't even know why.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. I
how did
mean,
you
and
get into this
mm,
work? May I ask? How did you start this?
well, I mean, I loved my entry in was through dance. And then, I had quite a difficult upbringing in that I was bullied quite a lot at school. I'm Chinese and I grew up in the 70s and there weren't many Chinese people where I lived. So, I always felt like I didn't quite belong. The square peg thing, that was me as well.
Right.
Square peg in a round hole. And then and then I went traveling and I always quite didn't quite know where I fitted in and I went traveling and still I did felt like I didn't fit in at times, right? But anyway, I always would go back to dance. And it's like when I'm there, okay, for a start, it slows the mind chatter slows down. And then you become more present. So, when you come into that place of feeling more present in your body, you really get in, if there's nice music playing, you get into the music. I mean, you can do it by just sort of going into beautiful place in nature. Maybe you go traveling. Because when you travel or go on holiday, when you go somewhere new, your senses are much more attuned, you're alive, you're excited, right? And you might go for this new walk, I don't know, some amazing walk up of, I don't know, in a forest or by
Yeah.
this coastline or maybe up a volcano, depending what kind of holiday you go on. And then, it's like you're not thinking about past, present, you're just suddenly really, really present in that moment, right?
Right.
Your mind slows down, all the mind chatter. You're not thinking about the shopping, you're not thinking about this and that. You're like, wow, look at that, look at this. You're just really taking in everything, right? You're really absorbed in that moment. And and so with dance, when I've really gone into it, I suppose you could say it's just going into flow. When you really get into the music and you let it's almost like the music moves through you. It's like
Yeah.
I just let the music literally travel through me and I let my body respond, right? So
Why
then
don't we,
suddenly
at that point, let's, 'cause my engineer has his own intentions here, and his body's in a different place. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to easysense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's easysense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
I welcome back to the Holistic Nurse. My guest, Helene Su, is talking about somatic dancing. And, um, I think it's a topic a lot of people are not aware of. I know it. As a child, I remember all little girls, most little girls, I guess, you hear the dance of the sugar plum fairy, and you dream about being the ballerina on the stage in the Nutcracker. But then reality sets in, and you find out you're a better softball player than you are a dancer. Um, but I had a patient last year. She was 92. She had been a professional prima ballerina, fully competent in mind intact, and at 92, she could move better than I ever will. I was just amazed. And she still could flow with the music, without music. Her daughter's also a professional ballerina. And, I guess a lot of it maybe depends on how you get introduced to the arts. Like, I had an art teacher once at a public school.
Oh, you've gone off screen, Peggy. So maybe I should keep talking until Peggy comes back on again. So what Peggy was just talking about with, um, you know, a lot of people associate the dance with ballet, and I started also with ballet. But something that's very different with ballet compared to somatic dance is that ballet is all about external, looking good, right? You're dancing for performance. You're dancing to make beautiful lines. Hi, Peggy, you're
I'm
back.
back. I'm sorry
So,
about that. Yes.
it's all about the external, right? And a lot of our lives are all about focused on the external, getting the grades, getting the house, getting the job. It's all about the external attainment. And so somatics, which has actually become quite synonymous with trauma work, if you've heard of somatic experience and
Right.
it's becoming right, because what it is, it's looking at what's going on inside of us. So with somatic dancing, rather than focusing on the external, like ballet, completely opposite, it's focusing on the internal. So it's about listening in to the different signals and sensations in your body. There's a technical term for it, interoception, but anyway, it's about listening in. So uh, and listening to what your body needs. If you have a lot of pent up frustration and anger, maybe you just need to go and just like go onto a hilltop and scream and jump around and get that excess energy out of you, right? But we don't always have the permission or place to be able to have that outlet. So then all of that frustration and tension stays in our body and it sits there. And some of you might be aware, like anger can really lead into some diseases we just don't want, right? And there's too much of them in this world, right? Terminal diseases,
Right.
they say a lot of it comes from that. So somatic dancing is really being able to listen in and explore what your body needs in that moment. I actually take it one step further in that rather than just looking about what your body needs, I believe that we have a lot of potential in our bodies. Because I've studied yoga and the energetic centers of chakra, and because I've studied kung fu, we have this energy within us, right? It's not a woo woo
Hmm.
word, energy. It's literally, now they have acupuncture. Before it was like that was considered woo woo, right? When
Right.
acupuncture needles go
Still
into
is
the
in some
meridian.
areas.
Right, okay.
Eh,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I haven't ever had it actually, but the needles go into the meridian points, right? Their energy points, and they go into the places where there's blockages. And so when we have pent up emotion or emotion that we haven't been able to release, and sometimes it becomes like blockages in our body, literally. So when we move, but we allow our bodies to move freely, then that tense energy can start to disperse. It can start to move, and then it can actually start to change, right? So, you can be really angry or frustrated or whatever, or confused, and you then put music on, and then after some time, depending on the music as well, that matters, then that energy will disperse. Now, um, I guide people to go into onto journeys and take them onto journeys. I suppose in a way is a little bit like dancing, but with coaching, right? That's the way I
Okay.
people in. Um, if people just want to have a dance, I mean, that's fine, right? You put on music that you like and you just move. It depends. If it's like pop music, it's kind of so, surface level, it's got these
Right.
lyrics and very sort of repetitive, quick beats. If you go into
Well,
music
you
that
know what
doesn't
comes to
many
mind as you're saying that most of the major traditional religions have the chanting, the Gregorian chants, the Buddhist chants, all of the major older religions, and that speaks to inside you. Sometimes you don't even believe in the faith, but that music gets deep inside you, and it connects with you. Uh,
Yes, yes. So with chanting, and also in a way, it's a bit of a similar thing with certain repetitive beats with trance music. It makes your brain waves change the rhythm. So there is a meditation, for example, called japa meditation, where you just constantly repeat a mantra, right? So a mantra is like a word like, one of the ones that's quite possibly well, Om Mani Padme Om, right? That's a Tibetan chant, and you see that Tibetan written on a lot of their temples and in the prayer wheels. They'll just say Om Mani Padme Om, and they keep repeating it over and over again. And there's the Hawaiian one. I can't remember off the top of my head. And you repeat it over and over again, and it makes your brain waves drop down, so they go more into a alpha theta state, which is the state where your brain will slow down anyway after a sort of extended meditation. It's also when you go into dream state, they go into alpha theta state.
mhm.
And so when you continually do this chant, it makes your brainwaves go into this drop into this state. So it calms you down, something shifts in your energy. And this is also connected to sound healing as well, because sound healing, the way the sound waves from gongs or crystal bowls will break through layers of density in your
Right.
body. The thing is with chanting, though, or singing as well, it comes from within you. So the sound comes from inside of you and then spreads out. So it's the most powerful way, in a way, of healing as well. And actually, there is a chant. Actually, there's a really simple, you don't have to chant even. I'm just thinking there's a very simple humming bee meditation. When your mind is so busy and your brain is racing, you can just like literally make this humming sound and to help calm the brain. Now, I just want to say though that sometimes not everyone can do sitting meditation, right? And I get that.
Mm.
If there's been a lot of trauma, right, a lot of people in prison, they can't just sit there and try and meditate because it's too much, it's too difficult. They might have to do something more energetic. They might need to even go to the gym and just push out that energy because there's pent-up energy in the head. Or they can move and they can dance and just movement to disperse the energy rather than just sitting still. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does make it. And I play a few instruments, and I talked on the show before how I have handicapped animals, and I've experimented with different music to calm them down. And uh, just a few weeks ago, I was so frustrated, nothing was working. I could actually see which music agitated them. So I told the electronic speaker to play the prayer of Saint Francis. He's the saint of animals. They all went to sleep within 2 minutes. I mean, it was
Wow.
crazy. And music has been very important to me. When I was in the orphanage as a child, I remember the nuns that were taking care of me. They used to say music is a gift from God that's inside of you. You don't need money to buy instruments and go to shows, things like that. You always have music in your heart. And when things are rough, go to that music spot and use it, and it'll get you through life. And 70 years later, I'm still remembering, those memories from that.
Mhm.
It has made a difference.
Mm. And have you come across the work of Dr. Matsu Emoto, the Japanese person who
Yes.
tested the
Yeah, I have
water?
heard. Yes, I
This
have.
is in our fluids, right? It's in our cells. So when we hear music that's beautiful, it changes the composition of the water, the fluids in our cells, which is amazing, right? So can you imagine that going so when you're hearing beautiful music and you're moving through it, right? If I know as we get older it's less, but we're supposed to be about 70% water, same as the earth, 60-70%. So, and all that fluid travels through our bodies, just like the fluids around the planet,
Right. Well, when
right?
you get older, you don't get to keep the fluid in you as long. It seems like we're always running to the private room. But
You have to
uh,
Yeah, so you have to drink more as well because yeah, right.
well, just
Yeah,
like after a massage, they give you a bottle of water because
yeah.
movement and massages, you're loosening the toxins in your body, and I can see where music does that too. And but we don't think that we're actually massaging ourselves with music, and yet we are.
We are. We are, that's it. I mean, even by breathing, if we and one thing I've noticed when I've given treatments over the years is people they don't breathe properly, right? There's a lot of stale air still sitting in the base of the lungs. When we breathe properly, then it is like an internal massage, right? The organ
Absolutely. We're going to take
in
one more quick break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to the Holistic Nurse. Elena, we have so much. I think we may even do a subsequent show on this. I see so much potential for this, and uh, many people don't know how to access this before. This is our last larger section. Maybe, since there are no, there is no limits on it for any of us. But many of us, like with my spina bifida dog who passed last year, I realized taking care of her, she didn't have a mother telling her that she was expected to be disabled. She wanted a bone that another dog had. She waddled like a seal to get it. Because she had no, she was
Oh,
paralyzed, and with humans we limit ourselves so much, and not in a our parents don't do it intentionally, but we watch nature and watch the animals. They adapt no matter what their challenges are. So tell us, what can we do with this? How can we learn more about this, access it, and the potential
so
here, where this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really the simplest thing to do is to begin connecting back to your body. Just being more aware of your body. You know, how many of us sort of live in our heads and we know we should eat better and sleep better and do some exercise, but that's about it, right? A lot of the time we have busy lives, and then when we have downtime, we're just slouched in front of the sofa watching TV or whatever we're doing. And then it's only really when our bodies complain that we actually start paying proper attention. But what you've just said about your dog is very true. That you know anyone who has any sort of uh, um, what different
Physically
needs,
limiting. Yeah,
right? Is what it's called.
right.
Then suddenly mainstream medicine say, "Well, you can't do that." There was a girl who I know studied my MA in somatics, and she was really active as a young girl. But then, I think at about 9 or 10, the doctor diagnosed her as having scoliosis. And then suddenly she felt like she had to stop doing everything she'd been doing because of this diagnosis. And so, this way that everything gets labeled and pigeonholed, and aging is another one. That's a terrible one. "Oh, well, I'm 40 now, I'm supposed to have love handles." I mean, what? "Oh, I'm 50 now, yeah, my knees are go whatever, I can't move as much." "Oh, I'm 60 now. Oh, no, well, I can't walk up those hills anymore." It's like, well, that begins in your mind first. I mean, yes, we're not as fit as when we're younger, but we curtail ourselves before we've even given up, you know?
Right.
We do
We
it to
limit our, we
ourselves.
set,
We
yeah,
do it,
we,
yeah, we do it to ourselves. And so what
I mean, it was
somatic
like that art teacher that told me I had no art talent. And then I discovered,
oh,
well, there's all kinds of forms of art. It's not just painting and, uh, and
absolutely.
I'm a prolific writer. I'm a musician, so it's really when we're with the younger generation, it's hard. We're human, but we should be more aware of the examples we
Oh,
set,
the
I
teachers
think, and
say the most
encourage.
terrible things. I had, actually, he was my kung fu teacher when I was younger. Oh, no, maybe he wasn't. Anyway, he said, "Oh, very stiff back and shoulders." And I thought, "Oh, what does that mean? So that means I can't do that anymore. Shall I just not bother then? Oh, I've got a stiff back and shoulders." And that's always stayed with me, and these things do. They we have these memories in our bodies, what we've been told we can and can't do, what we're capable of, and we all have a lot more capability than we're led to believe. In fact, a lot of the somatic pioneers came to this work from injuries, in fact. They came from injuries and then realized actually mainstream medicine's telling me I can't do this, but I'm going to find a way to work to figure it out. I think Moshe Feldenkrais had a knee injury, but he found a way to move in different ways, have more awareness. Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen has actually, she does body mind centering. She's actually helped people who had paralysis find sensation in different parts of them again by
Well, and we
really.
used to believe that the nerves didn't regenerate, and now science has proven that they do. And you know, you can. We only use such a small part of our brain, and we can learn how to access the parts that we haven't been using, and meet those needs. I think offers so much hope. Is this actually a specific scientific or educational program?
So
Is there like certifications and degrees in this, or this has all
so
been brand new for me?
so body mind centering is a very established sort of school of thought that's somatic body based. And I have done some training with her, Bonnie Braintree Crone. She's amazing, and she basically just ignored the medical science books. Not ignored, but just thought she just tuned in a lot deeper to what's possible in our organs, our fluids, our muscles. She's also looked at embryology, how we develop, and how we need to have certain movements to help with our development. Um,
Right. I remember back in the 80s, if you started to walk before you crawled, they were like patterning the babies. There was a place here in
that,
Philadelphia because they felt that that would just, limit you later in life if you didn't crawl first.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't know this when I was bringing up my son, and he didn't really crawl much. And I think that's exactly from body mind centering. They say you need to learn to crawl because it gets all the different parts of your brain working together, right? Um,
Right.
and I didn't know that then. And he didn't crawl very much. He just, was impatient to start walking. And so I feel bad about that still, actually, now that you said about that.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe, some people are just more coordinated than others. Not that he's not, but I just do feel that actually, yeah, that is something. Some babies, they crawl a lot and it really helps their motor skills and with different ways of moving later on in life. So yeah, that's one of the things that she looked at, exactly.
And I think
So
body
that is
dysmorphia, so many of us we're so focused on looking in the mirror and not liking what we see that we stop looking in the mirror. And a lot of the holistic therapies focus on self forgiveness. I think Colin Tippin wrote a book about radical forgiveness that is very helpful. And a lot of you learn how to forgive yourself, even if you didn't contribute to why you have this issue holding you back. And to me, it
yeah,
seems like the movement
yeah.
therapies like that actually are a shortcut. It might save years of therapy.
We don't need to go, "This is it." We don't need to go navel gazing into our past, into all the whys and that. In fact, we just need to find new ways through, new ways in, new ways to experience, to feel, to sense, to move. And when we do that, then something shifts in our brain, right? It opens up our neural networks.
Right.
Um, and so we don't need to do all that stuff. And that's why I resist. I don't call myself a somatic movement therapist. I would say I'm a somatic movement educator, and also I do somatic dance. And in fact, I've developed my own thing which goes even further, and I call it Visionary Somatic Dance, because there's this whole other layer of us, this layer of the creativity, right? Of
Uh,
all the inspiration. And yes, the forgiveness is huge if we can come from a place of compassion. And again, so this is all about working with the heart, connecting to the heart. Really, now, the work of the Heart Math Institute, in America does amazing
Right.
stuff and really
Right.
looked at how powerful the energy of our heart is. I mean, they call it our second brain, right?
Right.
And it's got this energetic field that extends beyond us. It has its own mind, if you like. It
Right.
has its own intelligence. And so when we connect into that place, it's like we can't come from a place of fear anymore, and we don't come from a place of self-criticism anymore. Because if we're really in our hearts and we're feeling that compassion for ourselves and for everyone else, all the negative stuff's going to fall away. Because if we're in our hearts, we're in trust, we're in hope, we believe in ourselves, and we're not going to just let those gremlins, the fear mongering, the thoughts sort of come
Right.
in.
The distorted perceptions and everything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not going to have a lot of time. I think we definitely going to have another show on this. Somebody that knows nothing in, where are you based in the world? I'm sorry, I don't even
So
say that.
actually, I'm currently based in the UK, in Gloucestershire, in the UK, which is kind of west of London. But um, I might become nomadic, Peggy. I mean, I'm in a transition in my life, and I'm thinking of getting a van and traveling and going into Europe.
Oh, that's
And so, yeah, so that's quite a big, but that's, this is where I'm at right now. I've been in this place for a while. I've traveled a lot in the past. I'm in a new transition phase. And yeah, I
and
mean,
music. I think can help you adjust because sometimes people fear change, and that holds them back. Just the fear of change, even though they know
yes,
the change intellectually is good for them. Um,
yes. And then other people, right? You start telling too many people and the wrong people, and sometimes it's your family or your close ones or whoever that you're closest to. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, and all they're doing is projecting their fears onto you, right? And then we start thinking, again, it's that giving away our power, worrying about externally, how are we going to look? What are people going to think, right? If we stay in our hearts, we stay in trust, as I said, and we we believe in ourselves because because that's where it all begins, right?
Right.
It's where it all
But
begins.
many of us have grown up though with teachers saying, "Oh, you'll never be a math teacher. Women don't go into science." Back in my age group and things like that. And you know, there's millions of people that have overcome that, and sometimes they don't even know. I'm sure it's some form of what you're actually describing, but didn't have the scientific labels now. I mean, we've learned so much about quantum physics and energy work, uh, and especially with healthcare being such a turmoil in this side of the ocean, at least, uh, if you can do more things for yourself and at least realize what your potential is, then you don't need some of the traditional uh, things that you can't access as easily, or sometimes it's a
That
matter of
that's
cost.
exactly it, Peggy, and that's what somatic work helps you to do. It helps you to realize you have more power and potential within you than you even realize. And, it helps us, stops us spiraling our thoughts out of control because we drop back into our body to ground us. We check back in with our breath to calm us. We connect into our third chakra area, our power center, right? Um, where our courage lies, okay?
Right.
And with movement and the dance, and we just drop down another layer into that place of quantum physics, into that
Well, why
quantum
don't we
field.
take a break here and we come back? Just tell everybody how they can reach you and the information about you. We'll put some links on the screen for you. Be right back. Thank you.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant. Like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Well, welcome back. Elena, tell us, we only have a few minutes left. How can people learn more about this? How can they reach your sites? You know, we're not all
So
in
my
your part of the world. So, the internet has made it accessible for us. Tell us about what to do here.
Yes, so I've created programs that are online. And in fact, I've been working more online also because I want to be able to travel, right? So then also I can reach people in different places. I'm actually holding a live 3-day thing, uh, 1st to the 3rd of September, Reclaim Your Creative Power. And there'll be a link, I believe, in the show notes for a somatic heart meditation, which is really a beautiful calming practice. Okay, it's very simple, less than 10 minutes. And if you find sitting meditation difficult, then you can connect in a different way. There's also, if you're really interested in this kind of work or learning more about the mind and body and somatics and dance through my lens, then I've created this 6-part audio, Feel Like Yourself Again. It'll certainly make you think about things in a different way. There's a couple of exercises at the end. There's exercise at the end of each audio, but it's more to get you just thinking in a different way about what's possible for you and to get you thinking, actually, yeah, anything can be possible, but it starts with you. It starts with us. It starts with us believing. Um, and so I talk a bit in the audio series about how, yeah, how we're curtailed from a young age, how society, culture, our environment curtails us, and how we have more power than we believe. We do. The last few years have made us feel a bit powerless, and we have
Right.
more power than we believe. And I think that's what I need you all to believe, even if you feel, no, I'm beyond this, I'm too old, this, I'm that. No, nonsense. It's just not true. It's just not true, right? But you have to start give yourself permission to think in a different way. Give yourself permission to believe that something else is possible, because that's how, and so that then the door opens. So my website is elenasu.com. Okay. And please, contact me on social media. If you message me, if you've got any questions, anything, I'd love to answer any questions that you might have, anything you're curious about, anything you don't believe. Challenge me.
Uh, so it has really been a pleasure, and as for new parents, like I remember being a kid, and the report cards always said "ants in your pants," and we automatically tell the kids, "Sit still, don't move," and that's where it begins sometimes, and not in a malicious way. It's just the way we were trained to raise kids, and you know, um,
Yeah, yeah, and it still happens in different ways. I mean, people still complain about the school system now, but it's a lot more open than perhaps back then. But still, children sit for 40-minute lessons, and then they have their PE twice a week. The rest of the time, they're sat at a desk, and it's not
right.
suitable for every child. There has been I did go to one school where she had workstations and you could stand, you could sit. She was quite progressive in a
Mhm.
primary school, but that's rare. And then, yeah, the kids who find it difficult to sit still all the time, but it doesn't suit them, yeah, they think there's something wrong with them, and that's just not right. It's just not right. So I think
It sounds
part of
like this
my
is a universal problem across all cultures, no matter what the culture is.
yeah, and it's more than that. It's not just about the sitting. There's also the hierarchy of the STEM subjects first, and then even in the arts, there's a hierarchy. Arts and music come before drama and dance. Dance is at the very bottom, and above dance is drama. And those two are the practices that involve our whole selves,
Right.
that
It lets you
involve
try out a different role and things. Yeah.
in turn, and recognizing all the different layers of us is almost like, yes, all the external stuff. Oh, you're good at maths and your brain can work that. That's all external. And then you tick the boxes, you get the ticks for the correct equations, or whatever, the science. But the internal stuff, learning more about us, because you can't quantify it in the same way, because we are rich, multi-layered, imaginative, creative, all of us within, and that's not fully honored and recognized. Yeah,
Well,
my MA, yeah, so I could
you're
go
doing
on
a
because
great job, helping change our minds about those things. And we're just afraid sometimes to step beyond what we were told for decades. But we are
yeah.
running out of time. I'm so happy to have had you as a guest today. I'll be in touch with you, but thank you so much. You've enlightened people all over the world, and keep doing what you're doing. And I'll be in touch with you. I think I definitely would like to have a sequel to this show.
Thank you so much, Peggy. It's been
You have a
absolutely a
great week
pleasure.
and be safe in your travels if you're going to start traveling.
Yeah, I'm going to a festival next week, so there is a bit of movement involved. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Peggy. It's been
All
an
right.
absolute
Take care.
pleasure.
Everybody have a great
Yeah.
week. Check
Yes,
out.
and please do get in touch, everyone. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got any questions, I'd love to know what's bothering you. I'd love to know. Yeah, and I'd love to help. Yeah.
And like you said, we have no limits.
We
Yeah.
have no limit. Then we create those limits for, I mean, society creates rules that give us limits and barriers and, all of that. But then we create our own. We create our own
Right.
prisons, right? We're technically
Yes.
free and then we stop ourselves. I've done it loads,
We
loads.
all we've all done it. Well, on that note, everybody have a great week. A moving week. Get up and move.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Have a
and
great week, everyone.
thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
This has been The Holistic Nurse with host Peggy Smith. Tune in each week where you're encouraged to send in questions and receive private responses and suggestions if appropriate. Here's Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern.